This is the AHSAA Weekly, your inside look at everything happening with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I'm John Holder. Coming up on this week's show, retired Associate Director for the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Joe Evans, joins us from Montgomery. We'll focus on Black History Month and talk about the merger of the AIAA and the AHSAA. Also coming up, it's the State Indoor Track and Field Championships this weekend in Birmingham. The head coach of one of the top teams in this year's field, the Carver High School Wolverines, their head coach, Chris Williams, along with his daughter, who will be one of the athletes competing, Christy Air Williams. We'll also speak with the Assistant Director of Officials for the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Ken Washington, as we talk about the officials that have been selected for the upcoming regional basketball tournaments across the state of Alabama. We'll also have some high school basketball, esports, and Hall of Fame highlights. All of that and more coming up this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Call a local company you can trust. Ox Foundation Solutions. We use the most advanced water management system to stop water from invading your basement for good. Things feeling a little uneven at home? Ox Foundation Solutions will fix your uneven concrete sidewalk, driveway, or basement in no time. Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Our corporate partners are the other team of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Their contributions are the key for us to provide the championship play as well as our revenue sharing program. Without our corporate partners, we would not be able to provide all the services we do to our member schools.
We are back on the AHSAA Weekly. We're going to take you to the Alabama High School Athletic Association in Montgomery. We are very, very privileged to have with us this week Mr. Joe Evans. He was one of the first associate executive directors of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, retired now from the Alabama High School Athletic Association, a longtime coach as well. And this is Black History Month. And Mr. Evans, you were very instrumental in the merger of the AIAA and the AHSAA back in the day. We want to talk with you a little bit about that and just talk about your career with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Welcome in and glad to have you with us on this week's show.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, just the impact, let's talk about the merger, going back into the late 60s and the merger of the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the AIAA. For folks that maybe not familiar with that time, just explain about the two organizations and how the merger came about.
Well, the Black Association was the AAIA, and all the black schools before integration in 68 played in a league of their own, and then the regular Alabama High School Athletic Association, which included the white schools only, played. But then after the school integration, the federal courts demanded that there only be one association, so therefore they had to merge. And Dr. T-Bird Frazier from Alabama State, Dr. Frazier was a professor at Alabama State, was the executive director for the AIA, and Bubba Scott was the executive director for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. And the courts rendered a decision that you could only have one association, so therefore they had to sit down and agree on a merger, which they did. Mr. Scott was made the executive director, and James Hall, who was a great basketball coach down in Dothan, had a professional guy named Otis Gilmore that played for him when he was in Dothan. He was given the position of the associate executive director. And my principal in Selma was the president of the AIA, Joseph Yelda, who is a past now, but he was the president under T.B. Frazier. And so I have a lot of history and knowledge about how this happened, and I'm so proud of where we are today.
Coach Evans, there were a lot of folks who thought this merger would not work. It was court mandated, and that there might be a race war, that there might be all kind of bad things that happened, but that turned out not to be the case. As a matter of fact, the exact opposite happened, didn't it?
It did, and the most important thing were the coaches. Coaches at the merger worked real hard to get along and blend kids and teach them the difference between being prejudiced about the things that maybe they had heard in the past or how they lived. You know, when you get into athletics, it's a team effort that you got to have. And the most important thing when a coach gets, everybody helps everybody be successful, because in the end, you're trying to win.
Coach, you were a very successful high school and college and junior college basketball coach. So we want to talk some basketball with you. You were very successful at all three of those levels. Just tell us about the development of basketball, especially since the merger of the two organizations here in the state of Alabama.
Well, basketball is a growing sport. It is changing as we speak in terms of the way they play the game now. The three-point game shooting has really changed the way people have to play the game. But, you know, I've had a lot of good principals and presidents and coaches. Coach Gene Bartow, that's deceased now, gave me an opportunity to leave high school and come and be assistant coach with him at UAB, which was a great honor. And then I was able to leave UAB once he retired and went to Lawson State, and we had a great run in basketball for 3 or 4 years. And this job, the Alabama High School Athletic Association opportunity came, and it was a no-brainer. Willis Scoggins, who was on the Central Board at that time, asked me to apply. And I did apply, and I was lucky and fortunate to be able to be the third executive director of this association. Jimmy Carroll was the second behind Mr. Hall. So it has been a pleasure to see the growth. Mr. Washburn, Coach Savarese has moved it even further in terms of the development and the experiences. The most important thing for a growing athlete is to have great experiences. The events, you know, are held at major, you know, places where they're like the Civic Center in Birmingham, where I was pleasured to see 2 sellouts in my career. When Parker and Carver played in Tuscaloosa, they sold it out 17,000. And when Parker and John Carroll played in Birmingham, over 17,000. So, I mean, the sport has grown so now that the television market, it's amazing what has happened. And I think sports is a way to unify anything that's happening. If you're going to win, and that's what we all play for when you're athletically involved, you have to put away your selfish desires and the problems of the streets, and unifying young men and young women are able to do that more so than the elderly people that had other mindsets.
Well, Mr. Evans, thank you so much. It's very appropriate for us to have you here with us, especially this month during Black History Month. You made such an impact on 2 different associations in the state of Alabama, on many, many high school athletes in this state, and of course with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. We thank you very much for your time and being with us on the program this week.
Thank you for having me, and you all do a wonderful job, and I hope you continue.
Thank you. Coach Joe Evans, former associate director with the Alabama High School Athletic Association, our guest with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly. We'll be back in just a moment.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at Ox Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills? Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Students learn sportsmanship from us, our coaches, the administration of the school, the parents. That's how we learn sportsmanship. Sportsmanship is one of the greatest tools that we can give our student athletes. It's respecting the game you're playing. It's respecting your opponent, respecting the field of play. That's what good sportsmanship is, and enjoying the game while you're playing.
This is the AHSAA Weekly. We're getting ready for another state championship event coming up this weekend at the Birmingham Crossplex in Birmingham. It is the 54th annual Indoor Track and Field Championships. One of the top teams competing in Birmingham this weekend is going to be the G.W. Carver Wolverines out of Montgomery. Coach Chris Williams is here. He's the head coach of the track team down there. We're going to speak with him. Also, he has one of the top athletes who happens to also be his daughter. Christiere Williams is with us. Glad to have you with us on the AHSAA Weekly this week.
All right, thank you very much.
Coach, let's begin with you. A great facility. I don't know if folks in Alabama realize that the Birmingham Crossplex, relatively new facility, what a great event this is and a great host site this is for the Indoor Track and Field Championships. Tell us about the Birmingham Crossplex.
The Crossplex is a real nice facility. Great people out there running the thing as well, and the events that we've been to so far this year have been excellent. They move fast, times are going really quick, and we enjoyed it, every bit of it.
I want to ask your daughter there and bring her in at this time as an athlete. We've kind of heard the coach's perspective, but as an athlete competing in a very nice big-time facility like this, what's that like, the atmosphere from the student-athlete point of view?
I think it's really cool. Like, there's always people like in the stands, on the track, everywhere, and I think that's it's really nice because the bleachers are like, you know, everyone's looking at all the events. Like, because normally jumps don't really get a lot of, I guess people don't really watch jumps, but like at that facility, they can see everything.
Tell us what events you'll be competing in specifically. What can we look for you folks that are going out maybe to the Crossplex this weekend? They've seen you here on the AHSAA Weekly, and they're going to be looking out for you in the competition. What events will you be competing in?
I will be doing long jump, triple jump, and the 100 hurdles. I mean 60-meter hurdles.
And 60 meter.
And 60-meter dash.
Do you have a favorite from those events?
I think my favorite is probably triple jump.
Coach, let's go back to you and just talk about the state of track and field here in the state of Alabama. Of course, we got outdoor track and field that's come later on in the springtime, so this is a good chance. Obviously, a lot of these athletes compete in both. Is this a good chance for maybe to get ready for the outdoors? Is it kind of a good prep for that?
Sir, indoor track is an excellent opportunity for athletes to get ready for outdoor. It gives them an opportunity to kind of tune up their skills and try some events that they haven't done in the past and see if they like that. And then so once they roll into the outdoor, they can be more efficient in what they're trying to do. A lot of them pick up things that they haven't done before, and then they go on and do great things. For me, this is only my first year ever coaching in the state of Alabama. We took a long road to get here. We started outside of back in Germany and spent about 4 years over there, and then moving into Maryland for about 4 or 5 months, and then we got to Alabama here in September, and I was gracious enough to get an opportunity to coach at Carver, and they didn't have a track coach, so that gave me an opportunity to go out there and help some of the young athletes get prepared for the future.
Coach, what is it about track that attracted you to want to be a coach, and what is it about track and field that you like about it from the coaching standpoint?
Well, I'll tell you, almost 35 years of coaching. I started off doing football like every other coach wants to do because that's the mecca of all sports. And then I went on to basketball and tennis and tried them all. And I realized that the only sport that you have to do running in that helps all the sports is track. So I started seeing more and more kids get faster and faster. And I said, hey, look, if I do track, I can get any athlete I want to do whatever I want them to do because there's no substitute for running.
Coach, who do you expect will be some of the top competition? Homewood has been very good in Class 6A over the years. Who are some teams besides your team at Carver that you expect to see and be some of the top competition in Birmingham this weekend?
Well, I try to look past the team aspect of it to see what teams are great out there because I really just kind of look at the individual athletes and understand that track is a team sport, but it's also an individual sport, so I kind of don't put a focus on any certain team. My goal out there is just to try to get each individual athlete the best they can give at the time, and hopefully that they can help the school bring forth some kind of victory for them.
Finally, as we wrap things up, I'm going to go from coach back to student athlete, but more specifically from father to daughter. Okay, what's it like being coached by your father? Tell us about that.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of like I have to kind of separate like dad and coach. Like they have to be like two different people. And I don't know. I feel like the coaching part, like it's like, okay, dad, like I know, and I just feel like I know stuff, and then he knows stuff, and it's very hard to not be his like daughter at the same time, also like trying to like figure out what we're doing, and it's a work.
Well, thank you both for joining us here this week on the AHSAA Weekly. Look forward to seeing you in Birmingham at the Crossplex for the indoor state track meet this weekend. Best of luck to both of you along the way. Thank you for being with us.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Coach Chris and Christiere Williams with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly. Back in just a moment.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Call a local company you can trust. AHSAA Foundation Solutions. We use the most advanced water management system to stop water from invading your basement for good. Things feeling a little uneven at home? AHSAA Foundation Solutions will fix your uneven concrete sidewalk, driveway, or basement in no time. AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Without our contest officials, we would have no contest. I truly encourage our parents to be a shining example of sportsmanship regarding our contest officials and setting an example for everyone, as well as coaches and fans across this state, to treat our officials with respect.
The AHSAA Weekly rolls on this week, and we roll to Montgomery, to the offices of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. The Assistant Director of Officials, Ken Washington, joins us. Ken, good evening. Glad to have you with us again this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Good evening, John. Thanks for having me.
Ken, we're rolling toward, I know this is an exciting time of year with basketball. One of the most exciting sets of events that we have in the Alabama High School Athletic Association are the regional basketball tournaments. 4 of those around the state of Alabama that will be starting here in just a few days. And we're going to talk about the officiating part of that because the officials have been selected. Tell us about that process.
It's a pretty unique process. We have 8 district directors, and they come in and we sit down, and we have 2,600 registered officials for basketball, and we had about 800 that was actually eligible to referee in the regional tournament. So we got together and we collaborated, went through all 800 of those officials, and we did kind of like a draft of the 800 and by each district director, and we came up with that number. We feel like we got a good group to do the things we need to do on the court, as far as to make sure we get the best product out there for our student athletes and our member schools.
Ken, you narrowed it from 800 to what's the final total number that you'll have working the regionals?
Out of 4 sites, we're going to have 199 officials, 48 in one site, 51 at Wallace. We're going to the Garrett, I think it's 49 there. And then we have some other at Jacksonville, which is about 51 or 52 at that site.
So we want folks to know these are the top officials. These are the very best of the best. This is really the top, probably what, 7 or 8% of officials in the state of Alabama working these regional tournaments, correct?
That's correct. And we're going to continue to evaluate them. We're going to take, I'm not quite sure the number, probably around between 40 and 65 officials to the state finals. So we're going to evaluate these officials, and there are going to be some that get an opportunity to go to the next step.
This is quite an honor, I would think, just like it's big for the coaches and the schools and the athletes to make it to the regional. This is big for the officials, too, to be selected to be in that top few percent of officials to be able to work some very exciting events in these regional basketball tournaments.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, they've been all year long getting film breakdown, watching each other, going out, giving feedback, doing some constructive criticism of themselves, and they've really been trying to get better every single game. And those officials are the ones we're going to have out here, and hopefully they do a good job, like I said before. And then some of them are going to go on to the state finals.
Ken, great information once again. Congratulations to all the officials selected to work the regionals. I know you're excited, and we're all excited to get those regionals underway in just a few days all across the state of Alabama. Thank you for joining us here once again on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you for having me.
Assistant Director of Officials for the AHSAA, Ken Washington, our guest again this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at Ox Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Wrapping up this edition of the AHSAA Weekly, still a lot to get to. We'll begin with a blast from the past, one of the all-time NFL greats, Buck Buchanan. This was a former Parker High School, Grambling College, and Kansas City Chiefs football star being highlighted this week. He was the first black player drafted #1 in the NFL draft back in 1962. He played in the Chiefs' first Super Bowl appearance against Green Bay in Super Bowl I in 1967. The defensive end out of Parker High School recorded the first sack in Super Bowl history, sacking another Alabama high school product, Bart Starr of Sidney Lanier. He returned to win Super Bowl IV with the Chiefs. He was an NAIA All-American at Grambling, All-Pro in the NFL, a member of both the College Football and the Pro Football Halls of Fame, as well as the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, voted one of the greatest 100 players in NFL history. And college football has honored Buck Buchanan by presenting annually the Buck Buchanan Award as the most outstanding defensive player in the Division I Football Championship Subdivision Championship games. He passed away of lung cancer back in 1992. Also this week, esports. We got Thompson celebrating the state championship over Bob Jones in the League of Legends competition last week at Birmingham's Eplex in the esports state championships.
Announced that I've chosen a place where I really bond with the staff so well, and I feel like there's going to be a team there in a couple of years that I will really fit in well with, and I will give my all for the coach and staff there. So, with that being said,
And that's last week's guest on the show, Geneva County junior basketball player Caroline Striplet, committing to the University of Tennessee to play women's basketball. And also next month is the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremonies in Montgomery. Here's legendary Grissom wrestling coach Joe DeSaro and also former Piedmont legendary men's basketball coach Tommy Lewis.
My name is Joe DeSaro. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. I coached at Grissom High School. Purpose of coaching is to build relationships, to make a difference in these young men's lives, something that will stay with me and hopefully with them the rest of their lives. The memories we built are special.
My name is Tommy Lewis. I was lucky enough to coach at 4 Alabama high schools: Gillsville, Spring Garden, Cherokee County, and Piedmont. And the big reason I was able to have success is the reason I wanted to do it was to be around people and help them achieve some of the things I was able to achieve. I was lucky enough in my life to have people come in and help me to, I guess, arc at a higher level than I ever thought I could. And I said, you just want to repeat that for other people to make sure that they can do things that maybe they didn't think they could do until someone told them, hey, anything is possible. And that's one thing that high school sports is able to do, is they will let people know that you can accomplish things. The main thing you have to do is set a goal and work.
And now it's time to bring you 3 dunks of the week from high school basketball across the state of Alabama. We will begin with Ramsey's Keyshawn Murphy dunking in a 54-53 loss to defending Class 7A state champions Mountain Brook. This is Georgiana's 6'6" senior Martavius Payton. He takes the feed from 5'6" senior guard Tyrone Boggin for a massive dunk. And then, after a little bit of celebration, goes to the other end of the floor for a block on the other end in the Panthers' big 82-42 win over rival McKenzie. And this is Montgomery Catholic's John Buford slamming home a dunk thanks to a perfect log from John Tavius Green. This was in the night's 64-38 win over crosstown rival St. James of Montgomery. And those are your dunks of the week from across the state of Alabama in the AHSAA. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly. We'll see you back here next week.